I bet you never thought that your drinking problem could actually be a blessing in disguise. I certainly didn't until I saw how it flipped my life in ways I didn't expect. Welcome back to another video. My name is Rhett, and I used to be a heavy drinker. Binge drinker to the max. And now I'm sober, and I make these videos to help people like you do the same. And hopefully you'll get some good information that'll help you along your sobriety journey. Now, I used to think that alcohol defined me, that it held me back, and it did. But then I started to flip my perception on my problem. And that's when I realized alcohol, for better or worse, it was honestly the best thing that happened to me. I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And even though I spent years drinking way more than I should, drinking myself to black out, to be sick, thrown up all over the place, just to wake up and do it all over again. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. It really is the best thing that happened to me. Because I had to go through that. All those drunken nights, all the regret, all the shame. I had to go through that to truly see who I really am as a person, as a man. So it really was the best thing that happened to me. It's something that I needed to go through. Albeit I took way too long to figure it out, but I did figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out, but I'm more aware now. I understand what I was putting myself through. Maybe not intentionally, but drinking pushed me to a breaking point where enough was enough. I was tired of living that life, living in darkness, and I didn't want that anymore. And alcohol forced me to face myself. It forced me to face my insecurities, my demons. I had to clean out my closet, so to speak. And I'm on this path of self-discovery to find out who I really am, why I am the way I am. You know, why do I think certain thoughts? Why do certain things trigger me? Where do those come from? Where do my thoughts come from? Are they mine? Did I learn them from someone else? Did I learn them during my childhood, from movies, TV, video games, whatever the case may be? Were these things programmed into me? And these are things that I think subconsciously I wanted to figure out for years, but I never allowed myself to get there. I was constantly drowning myself out with alcohol, drowning my thoughts out with partying. I took the easy way out for years. Instead of dealing with these things like I should have, I was guzzling alcohol. It was just easier to do that. It was scary to face yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and be like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? What's your purpose? Is it just to party your life away? I never asked myself these questions. I was too scared to. But as I started to ask myself these questions, I started to see things from a different point of view. You know, instead of being super negative and being hard on myself, oh, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why can't I quit drinking? Why am I not where I want to be in life? I started to ask these questions, but from a level of curiosity instead of negativity. I was genuinely curious, like, why am I like this? Why am I the way I am? And just constantly asking why. And it opened up a lot of doors for me in my life. It opened up some doors that I had kept shut for years, that I never wanted to open. I didn't want to face what was behind that door. But I needed to. And I realized it's not as scary as I thought, you know? It's easy for us to build things up in our head, create these scenarios that aren't even close to being real. But I'd scare the shit out of myself, like, what if? And it was always doom and gloom, worst case scenario, doomsday type thinking. And it wasn't healthy. And that led me to drink even more. Because I didn't want to deal with it. I just kept burying it and burying it and burying it. But the more I buried it, the more you bury it, the harder it's going to be to face it later on. And maybe you don't ever want to face it. There are certain things that I never wanted to face. It's tough. It's super tough. But if you don't do it, you're going to keep living the same life you've been living for years. You're going to have to face it sooner or later. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to face that discomfort in order to heal, in order to feel better? For years I wasn't. It's just easier to drink, to party. You know, you're having a good time on the surface, but deep down you know it's not the business. And for me, sooner or later, I was just like, you know what? I've had enough. This isn't working. The short-term gratification is not worth the hell I put myself through for the coming days or up to a week, you know, until it was time to drink again. It just wasn't worth it. And I will say that going through the struggle, and something I'm super grateful for is just the overall level of gratitude I have for life, for every day. You know, being sober, you appreciate so many things that you took for granted. The people in your life, the roof over your head, you know, having home-cooked meals every day. Like, there's so much to be grateful for if you just look. You know, I was always in the mindset of, I was thinking of what wasn't, or what could have been, versus what is. Being grateful for what I have. You know, still having that ambition and wanting the things that I don't have yet, but more so appreciating what I have now while I work for what I want. And that little mindset shift was huge for me. Waking up with a clear head in the morning, eager to take on the day, not waking up and just immediately having my head clouded with negativity and all the things that I didn't want to do that day or that I had to do. And I shifted my mindset to, these are things I get to do. It's so easy to compare yourself to others and what you don't have. Oh, they have this, they have that. They can control their alcohol. You don't know. You have no idea what they're going through. It does you no good to compare yourself to others. It just robs you of happiness, it robs you of joy. Because on the surface, they may be look like they're doing better than you, but you have no idea. They could be doing way worse than you. And I did that a lot. I compared myself, and I still do sometimes. I mean, I've gotten better. But you know, flipping that switch doesn't just happen overnight. It's something that's been programmed in us since we were kids. Always comparing, always competing. That's not necessary. You know, I switched to, the only competition in my life is me. But why do I even need to compete with myself? Why can't I just be? And I can. And it relieves a lot of the pressure off myself. These days, without alcohol, I'm in a much, much better headspace. But I truly believe that I wouldn't be where I am today without all those years of over drinking, partying my ass off, and just being in this kind of dark space. Because you can't have dark without light, and you can't have light without dark. If everything was good all the time, you would have nothing to compare it to, and you would take it for granted. I've come to realize it's important to enjoy the good with the bad, because things won't always be bad, and things won't always be good, so appreciate both. And my drinking problem helped me realize this. And it truly was the best thing that happened to me. I wouldn't be in front of this camera sharing these things if I didn't go through it. That's all for me today, guys. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you got something valuable out of this. Let me know in the comments how alcohol has changed your life, for the better or for the worse. And until next time, take care of yourself